12 points. They're playing 9 and 10 guys, and definitely Noara is their best player. So as far as we're concerned, consistency, the turnover thing is, I don't know, that's, I can't figure out what happened in that first half. We've been doing a great job with our turnovers for 3-4 games in a row. I didn't think we came out ready, and that's my fault. But I also thought that the athletic ability and the length of Texas bothered us. We weren't used to that. And so after that poor start, I thought we got better. So we're looking for more consistency and hopefully to continue to shoot the ball well. Defensively, we really locked in later. And rebounding-wise, really for the whole tournament, I thought we rebounded very well considering the fact that we were undersized in just about every game, a couple of them by a lot in the last 4 games. So, questions?
Tom, you said, I think it was early last week, this 5-6 game stretch, you're going to find out a lot about your team. Just 2 games in, winning a tournament, what do you think you've found out so far? Anything?
Yeah, you know, I think we got a little more grit and toughness than I thought we had. You know, you talk to other coaches, and it was good to talk to Alfred. It was, Shaka's a good friend of mine, and, you know, we got to talk after the game about what he liked about my team, what I liked about his. Dwayne Stevens is real close to one of the assistants at Texas. So you kind of get a chance to, you know, you don't think your team's ever physical enough or tough enough, and other people think they're tougher. DJ had a good point. I just compare ours to those championship years when we were tougher than nails. So we're probably a little better in that area. I think we're shooting the ball pretty well. I think our unselfishness, the continuation of getting a lot of assists a game is really going to bode well for us down the line. And we are rebounding it better than I thought we would. On the negative sides, you know, if we're not mentally ready to play, that's when those turnovers come, you know, and I think we got to appreciate that there's a lot of good teams out there, and just because a team isn't ranked, like Texas was better than, they were as good a team as we played, you know. I think it really helped playing Gonzaga early. We get a little better feel now. Play the one team in the country in Kansas, probably today's one team. I don't know if they come out yet as Gonzaga one.
Gonzaga.
They probably will be. So we played them. You know, we played a team like UCLA who had tremendous size. I think if there's one advantage we've had with our schedule, even though I'm not pleased with it because of the way it is right now, you know, we played a 7-footer and 285-pound guy with Kansas. We played a 7'1" kid from UCLA with 6'10", 6'9" in there at the same time. We played maybe the best group of athletes we'll face all year in Texas. So we've had some different looks at different kinds of teams, and I think that's going to help us too.
Tom, 2 questions for you. First, Kenny Goins is a guy that, I mean, has really been a glue person. He isn't going to show up on all the stat sheets, but he's doing all of the little stuff. Are you even surprised at how well he's playing this early?
I am, in some ways, and I still think he's got a lot he can give us. He's a much better shooter and better offensively than he's performed. I think we got 2 guys that are in that mold that you just talked about, Hondo. Matt McQuaid, you know, for a guy who's averaging 7-8 points a game, hits that big 3, but he is definitely our best defender. And Kenny is maybe second to that, plus Kenny right now is our best rebounder. So, you know, those 2 guys really understand the game, and I think have unselfishly played their role, and that speaks volumes, because one of them is a 5th-year senior, one of them's a senior. And I think that tells you a little bit on the chemistry of this team. But Kenny Goins have his work cut out for him this week, because Noara is about as good a, you know, he could play the 3, could play the 4, shoots it from NBA plus range, quick shooter. you know, he's going to have his hands full this week, so we'll see.
And talking about surprise guys, you can't teach want to, and Thomas Kithier has it. Are you a little bit surprised at what you're getting out of him, especially after having not played his senior year?
You know, Thomas has been solid, is what he's been, and I would say that I've been pleased with all of our freshmen in a way. And, you know, Foster's had to adjust, and it's taken a little time, and it will. But I thought we got more out of Kithier. I thought we got more out of Aaron Henry. We've had our moments, and it's going to be depending on who he goes against for Marcus. And I think you're going to see Gabe, you know, practices. We've had him on that scout team. He's grown like some of the great players we've had before in that. I think you're going to see him a little bit more too. So Kithier has been surprising because he too has not been afraid of the moment, which I thought Aaron Henry showed a lot of. But solid would be a good word for him. And yeah, a little surprising because he had the whole year off. We really didn't know what he could do, and he's been solid.
You guys seem to be a pretty mature team at this point in the response against Texas. What do you find out in a true road game like this that you can't find out otherwise?
Yeah, I think find out a little more about your leadership, a little bit more of, okay, can we accept a little bit of success? I mean, we won a preseason tournament. It's a big deal, and at the other side of it, big deal. You know, it doesn't mean anything in November, but I'm anxious to see how we handle a little bit of success. A very hostile place, 20,000 people will be there. Be a big game for them, big game for us. Our leadership, I'm anxious to see how that goes and whether we can get consistent, because as you know, the one exciting thing about Vegas for me, we had by far the biggest fan group there, and it was not even close. In fact, I could almost add them all up together. It didn't make up for ours, in my humble opinion. And because of that, you know, that first half of the Texas game, I thought our fans brought us back a little bit. Now you get down, and it's going to be the opposite. It'll be 20,000 against us, and that's an adjustment sometimes especially for the young kids. So I'm looking to see if we respond to a little bit of success. You know, we weren't real happy with the turnovers in that, so we really addressed some things in practice and film sessions. How do they respond to that? And then third, how do they respond on the road?
A couple games in, you were a little concerned about the defense, how it went against Kansas and Florida Gulf Coast. You seem pretty happy with that over the weekend. I'm wondering what changed the last couple weeks in that respect.
I think my assistants deserve some credit for that. I mean, we just sat down and said, we're not gonna do this, you know, and I was on them hard, you know, self-admitted. And but I told you that we just had to get back to figuring out. Nick Ward has done an incredible job up on those ball screens. I thought that was the big difference in the Texas game, that we did not let him get in the lane. We kept him out of the paint for the most part. Very quick guards. Cassius was better, and McQuaid was unbelievable. If you watched the film and what he did, Josh was pretty good too. So we got a lot out of Aaron Henry. We got a lot out of our team defensively, but it helps that Nick is very good at guarding the post defensively. Now he's going to have his hands full this weekend too, or this week, because they have a very good center who can score right and left-handed. But Nick can guard that thing pretty good. Now what he's added to his repertoire is he's guarding in the ball screen defense, and that was a disaster last year that he's turned into being very, very good at. So that's really helped our defense.
What have you seen from the two guards out front with Cassius and Langford, that they've been able to play off each other so well on both sides of the ball?
Well, when you defend better, you run better. If you rebound, we all rebounded by 20, so we defended, we rebounded, and then we ran. And if we get in the open court, I think those guys do play off each other very well. Josh has learned. We're laughing with our freshmen because Josh was so frustrated his freshman year. He thought he was sprinting. I thought he was running like my 92-year-old mother. So there was a difference in there of opinion. And now Josh runs that lane so well, and Cash knows he's there. It's like a good quarterback and a receiver. They do play well together. I think that's had something to do with it. I think we've put Josh in a position by the way that Cassius can come off ball screens to get some shots. I think that's helped too.
Louisville's a program you've been familiar with when Coach Pitino was there. Now with Coach Mack, I'm just wondering how much you knew about him and his style, and just how different things are with him in charge. Did it take more time just to sort of dig into them and see what was new, I guess?
Yeah, a little bit. You know, I mean, we've watched Xavier for a long time, and of course he's from Xavier, and he was there for a long time. And Coach Pitino's style is a little different. They played all that pressing and a lot of zone. Coach Mack is not as much pressing and not as much zone so far. They may play some zone, but you know, I think what I've been most impressed with watching film on Louisville, they move the ball about as well as any team that I've seen so far. That ball's going from side to side, and they're taking shots now from NBA plus threes, and more than a few of them. And so that'll be a challenge for us because they're still athletic enough to get around you. They have a good enough post player that if you stretch it out too far, they're going to be able to dump it in. But this is a very, very good team, comparable, I think, to the teams that were out there. And even though they lost 2 games, one was the number 5 team in the country that they played right to the end, and the other was a good Marquette team who really they should have beat if they make a tip in with 2 seconds left.
You would, of course, love to see Langford have a game like he did against Texas, every game if he could. But for him to get that to that next gear, he mentioned he hasn't maybe had a game like that since North Carolina last year. So for him to get to that next gear, this early in the season, how can he build on that?
Well, I think, you know, this word consistency is kind of what our whole team's talked about. You know, I'm not positive, you would know, did he not score a point in the first half and had 29 in the second?
22 in the second. So
22 in the second. Somebody told me he didn't. You know, I was too busy worrying about how bad we were playing to figure out who was scoring points. I thought it was the worst 10 minutes of basketball we had played in a lot of different ways. But 22 points and a half is a lot of points. And I just think he has to be more consistent. You know, is he coming off those things ready to shoot? Because we have to get a feel for our players too. Meaning, coaching staff does and what you call. Cassius does and who he knows who he's going to. The screeners do, and you know, and I think the way we can do that, we got to get Nick more involved a little bit now. You know, he only had 7 shots, and so the next couple of games are going to be figuring out how do we still get 60-some shots up, which would be very important. We had 51 the last game, but 51 shots with, I don't know, you guys would be the experts, 24 turnovers, 26, 30, 40, how many was it? 24.
Yep.
So with 24 turnovers, you're gonna, you know, if you just get 13, which is not great, that's 11, 12, 13 more shots you get. So then you'd be up into the mid-60s. And if we're in the mid-60s, there's more room for more guys to get shots. And I think Josh himself would get in the flow a little better too. I mean, we were pounding it in one game. We were running and scoring on the break one game. And then we ran some plays and got it to him one game. Now we got to get the consistency. He's got to get the consistency and still be the problem with Josh, like a Gary Harris, still be one of our best defenders, him and Cueto.
We have time for a couple more.
Tom, obviously Louisville's next, but
That next is, when he gets his time to talk, he uses full advantage of that. Go ahead.
Obviously it's Louisville week, but in this same week, and this is your weekly presser, is Rutgers. How is it difficult, Big Ten games in November, getting guys, you got a Louisville game, then you're thinking conference, and you go back out of the conference, the yo-yo.
Hell, I'm still thinking of what time I get up in the morning since we had the 3-hour. This is a tough stretch, you know, the 5 games in 12 days. And it really makes it tough when, you know, we're going to be on, we're going to miss some days of school this week. You know, we're traveling tonight, we're on the road tomorrow, we'll get back late tomorrow night. We're traveling Thursday, get there on Friday. I'm not crazy about the Big Ten schedule. I understand it, no insult to anybody. I still would prefer not having those dead weekends or whatever, the extra bye weekends in January and February. Only because we're hitting this in the middle. You know, if you wonder why I'm complaining about it, some of these games, Florida on the road, the ACC Big Ten Challenge, Tournament Champions, those are already pre-done. And so when they're done like that, and then you throw in 2 Big Ten games, that's hard. It's hard, because we all know the Big Ten games are, I mean, it's hard to say they're more meaningful, but they're more meaningful if you're trying to win the Big Ten championship. So, not crazy about it, but it's the same for everybody, and except we've had some games scheduled in there that we couldn't change, and that makes it a little more difficult. I think after this year, who knows what will happen, but at least we'll be able to prepare for that, although next year could be difficult too, since I think we're involved in the Gavin games next year, and that's a predetermined, throw it in there, and we have no say on it, and I'm not sure that's healthy for us right now, so we all got to get through these couple of years in this transition period.
Tom, you mentioned that you were going to have to play more young guys because there's so many games in such a short period of time, but obviously with it being the first road environment of the year and they're the only guys on the team, the freshmen, that haven't played in that kind of situation, how do you balance those two factors, and who do you think is maybe most?
Well, what I like about it is playing in that Kansas game, even though it wasn't a true road game, hell, when you were there, since the other 3 teams all wear blue, it looked like a road game to me. But I think it was a big stage game, and so guys understand what it's like to be on a big stage. But that is a concern. That's why the first, big road game, instead of playing somewhere smaller, play at Louisville, might be the biggest venue we'll play in all year, and pretty rabid fans, and so it's going to be part of this growth process that we're working on all year long. Can we get by another hurdle? Can we put another experience, kind of in the book? And that's kind of what the preseason is for, and this will be trust me, a big, big stop on the way.
Just looking back once more, how significant is a notch on your belt in November with a championship like that? And does it have any staying power later in the year?
Thought you were going to ask a baseball question. You threw me off a little bit. I'd be crazy not to say it's not a notch on my belt, but it's something that I think you have to learn how to win championships. You have to learn how to be able to prepare. That preparation against 2 completely different teams was, it was so short a time. When we got back to the hotel, it was 10 o'clock, 10:30, and we played at 3:30 the next day, and we'll maybe never have a situation so close. So that was a good experience, that if getting a Big Ten tournament or something, we can, but learning how to win is special. And I think championships, everybody knows, are harder to win. And so, I'm going to be able to use that. It's one of 4 opportunities I think we have this year, to win the Big Ten, to win the Big Ten tournament, and hopefully go deeper in the NCAA tournament, and then this tournament. So there's 4 major tournaments that I guess we're in, and at least we're 1 for 1 so far. But do I think it'll help us? Yes. Do I think it'll make us? No. The next game makes, how do you handle it now, and how do you grow from there? And if we handle it right, then we'll be able to build on that. If we handle it wrong, we'll be able to use that as a learning experience, hopefully.
Anything else?
Appreciate it, guys. See you later.